of 15-year-old Elroy Frankie has again brought to the fore the danger children on the Cape Flats face because of gang violence in the area. Frankie was shot and killed while sleeping in his home last week, allegedly by two gang members. Parents say they live in fear due to gangs as children continue to be affected. Now, to discuss this, I am now joined by Western Cape Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Thembisile Patekile. Commissioner, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Firstly, are children, any residents safe anywhere if a teenager is going to be gunned down while he's sleeping in his home?
Well, good morning to you and the viewers out there. It is a problem that we are encountering, especially when people are at home. That is our concern. But what we would like to request the community to come forward, as you indicated that this young one was sleeping in the bedroom of his grandmother when apparently two unknown people came in and shot him. We are appealing to the communities to assist us to find those, because at this stage we hear the rumors that it might be related to gangs, but we want to understand the motive, because apparently the deceased was not a gang member at the stage. Now we're looking at the possible motives, but we are really appealing to the community to assist us to find those culpritors so that we can bring them to books. What we are doing, we are deploying more members in the hotspot areas. We have 31 gang stations in the city of Cape Town. And of those city of Cape Town stations that are actually mostly problematic would be your Manenberg, Philippi, Fontaine, and Essex River, and some other stations. That's where we focus most in the hotspot areas. We focus our deployment. We know that it is also now the time that the children are at home. We put in additional resources in the gang stations based on the times that we have normally when the shootings are happening in those areas.
Commissioner, you're saying, deploying more members to these hotspots as well, and I think those hotspots are widely known as well, because this is not a new problem. It seems every other week we're speaking of killings on the Cape Flats as well. But residents there have complained about not having great police visibility. And if you are going to be deploying more members on the ground and ensuring that there's more resources, for how long?
Look, what we do the first time in first place, we stabilize the area and then we normalize the area. We have combined our resources with the city of Cape Town law enforcement and all other law enforcement in the city of Cape Town. In these areas, we deployed more in those areas. But what we're now doing, we're enhancing on our intelligence capacity to ensure that we follow those that are responsible, and as well as the gang leaders in those areas, where we go straight to the areas where they live, and we search, because what we know is the weapon of choice in the city of Cape Town are the guns, the illegal guns, which were taking a lot out of the street, and the drugs, and that's what we're doing. But there's sometimes there's a flare in other areas. We've got to go and stabilize, but not forgetting the areas that we've been stabilizing or they've been normalized. But it does happen that, but we are needing more community assistance in this, the whole of society and the whole of government approach to the gang violence in the city of Cape Town.
And one, cannot disagree with you that it is going to take, obviously, a multi-pronged approach as well. But residents in those areas are fearful of their lives. Some parents are saying that they're not even allowing their children to go to school. So children are dropping out of school out of fear that they will be gunned down in the street, just taking a walk, maybe to the shops or even to school.
Actually, the main goal of us is to ensure that children are at school, so that there aren't any dropouts, because those dropouts are the breeding grounds for the gangs. And if we allow that as parents and grandparents to happen, then we are actually playing on the very breeding ground of the gangs. We've got to ensure that all of us regard the future of our children jealously, by making sure that they're all at school And we have school safety programs where we are also in those areas. We are ensuring that when people are going to school, they have visibility in the areas, and also when they're going home. So that should not be a way that will keep the children at school, at home, before going to school, because that is exactly what the gangs want. We should resist that one.
And I hear you, Commissioner, that, you know, those kids who are then left at home become like a playing ground for the gangsters to try and recruit them into gangs as well. But also, I can understand the fear that parents may have to think that if I just say goodbye and I kiss my kid to say goodbye to go to school, they may not come back. And having that risk to listen to the police saying, look, we will ensure that you are safe. When we've seen time and time again children being gunned down, do you understand their frustration, though, to say, look, I'm doing this to protect my child?
But what we are showing the community that you are out there, also give us information. We've given our numbers. We even have the number that talks to, because there is always a relationship between gangs and extortion. We have a toll-free number that we are using for gangs and extortions, the 0800 314444. That number is always available, and many people are using that number. And indeed, we're getting more successes through that number, getting guns and drugs that are being provided. For example, now, this weekend, where people were on their way, the gangs were on their way to gun down somebody. We followed them, we arrested them on the way. We got guns and R5, and AK-47 and Uzi, plus other handguns. And we arrested 5 of those people. That is a thing what we want to prevent it by reporting it anonymously to us. We respond quickly, and we guarantee you that your name is not going to be divulged to any other person.
Yeah. You also mentioned, Commissioner, that, you know, while you're going to be deploying more men and women on the ground there, that it's also to stabilize and normalize the area. Would you say that on the Cape Flats at any point in recent years the situation has been stable or even normal?
Look, in many other stations, we got 1 gang stations, but many of those stations have, you find incidents not more often than the other stations, also depending on the high concentration of the gangs in the areas. But what most of the time happens is when you've taken the leadership away, you've taken the whole leadership, and then it becomes a conflict between the ones that are below and also conflict with other gangs in terms of the TEP. So that is the main problem that we are looking at. Again, when a person is released from prison, either a service sentence or is released on parole, that also, because that person starts to trying to find himself and to have a footing in the area which he has lost at the time. So that is been the issue that we are dealing with. In most of the cases, we prevent it from happening before time with the assistance of the communities. I must say, in many communities, the communities are informing us, and we go in numbers in those areas and we prevent those things. Yes, there are stations that you will find that it will be quiet for a month or 2 months, and the 3rd month something happens, or somebody has come out, or somebody is at an event. That is still an issue. But we've got to ensure that what we are doing is making sure that we do compliance inspection on those who got guns, and also taking the guns away from those and the ammunition. Because if those are taken away and the drugs, then you will not have. But also, the breeding ground, the young children should remain at school. We make sure that they're at school. And that's what we are pleading to the community and the parents, that we make sure that children are at school so that they do not find an opportunity that they be recruited by the gangs.
Before I let you go, Commissioner, to the residents in that area as well who've been living in fear for quite some time now, and I want to read you a quote in one of the reports where they said that the team in blue are no good. All they do is abuse the vulnerable and the ones who can't fight back. For those officers who are said to be implicated or allegedly implicated in not protecting communities as well, and like they're saying in this report, making sure that they intimidate community members as well, I'm guessing you're saying, look, those community members should come forward and speak out against these police officers. But do we have incidents where we can show residents to say, like, look, when you reported officers A, B, and C at A, B, and C police stations, this is what we did about them, and these officers are no longer in the police service, or any sort of outcome that may come out of somebody coming forward? Because I'm assuming they must be quite fearful to go and report police officers who are allegedly corrupt.
Well, in the first place, we tried no corruption in the South African Police Service. And we have dismissed quite a number of policemen for corruption. And we've dismissed members that were involved in gangs. Some are still in jail. Some their cases are underway in courts with big guns. Because when the community tells us that this member is doing ABCD, we have our own systems that we follow, and when we make sure that we arrested our own, as many as possible. But all those who've been arrested are not in the service anymore. But if there are any other ones, please inform us, because we want to ensure that you get the service. But if there is a police brutality, then you report that, come and open the cases. The IP will investigate that independently from us, so that you get the service that you can get from the police and the IP. But when it comes to corruption, we try no corruption at all. Please help us to help you on that one.
Sorry, just to be clear, you're saying when it comes to corruption, you strive for no corruption, or you're saying there is no corruption?
I'm saying we tolerate no corruption.
Okay.
We have dismissed so many of our members. We don't tolerate it. When you report it, we investigate it, we dismiss our non-members, we arrest them. But if there are any that are still there, please help us so that we can get rid of them. We can arrest them and change the blue uniform with orange overalls if it comes to a push.
From blue to orange. Commissioner, thank you so much for your time and just shedding light on this recent killing as well. Now, that's the Western Cape Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Thembisile Patekile.